you follow Cal Osili on any social media platform, then you know how engaging he can be. He is fun, he is witty, he has all kinds of thoughts and a deep, deep well of feeling about family creation. And he should know. He has had his family formed in a variety of ways. Step parent, biologic parent, adopted donor. It's worth listening. Check out this conversation with Cal and don't forget to follow him on social media. Welcome to the Becoming Baby Ready podcast, your podcast for queer family planning. My name is Sam, and throughout this podcast, you'll hear me have conversations with professionals who work alongside people who want to start and grow their families, as well as parents of intentionally created families. Everyone I speak to identifies as being part of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community. This is your opportunity to learn answers to questions you didn't even know you had. Welcome, everyone. I am really excited today to introduce you to Calvin Ozzi, and there's a couple of reasons for that. First is that it's going to be a fantastic conversation about family creation, but also Calvin's other half was on the show for season 2. So we will probably delve into that a little bit and how they blended their family at one point. But more than anything, welcome, Calvin. I'm so glad you're here. Please tell us about who you are.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Who I am. I There's a lot of ways I could describe myself and the places and circles I show up in the world. I'm a dad. I'm a spouse. Um, I am a relationship coach, an entrepreneur. I also am a epic release cycle manager in my 8 to 3 job. Um, I am a really fun, loving person. I love just games and laughing and good food and sports. Um, yeah. I don't like to necessarily stick to a box. The kind of person who'll try anything twice.
Perfect. Excellent. And I love that try anything twice because the first
Yeah,
time, maybe you just had an off time, right? So we'll
totally.
try it again and see. And if it's still no, then it's no, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I kind of have that relationship with yogurt. I've been trying every year to try to like that stuff, and I just can't.
You just can't get there.
I can't get down with it.
And
Yeah.
is it, let me ask you this. This is a totally off topic and not necessarily where I always go with the show, but when you say you struggle with yoga, is it the shutting your
Oh,
mind down enough to kind of focus on that?
no, I said yogurt. Like
Oh, yogurt.
food.
Okay, that will clearly be edited out.
No, it's fine. I think it's good. But yoga too, it's a thing I'm growing into. I can't even believe how stiff I am. And so like it's a intentional practice because mobility is going to be important. Like it's important as the aging process.
100%.
So yeah, I'm learning that too.
Excellent. Well, there you go. Because I feel that way about I love yoga. Yogurt. Sorry. I love
I want
yogurt
to. I
myself.
can't. I can't get it past my nose.
There's a lot of people that feel that way. And try
Yeah.
the soy and coconut and stuff like that. Maybe it's
The coconut one I can do. The dairy ones I can't. Yeah.
right. It just smells too much like sour milk, right?
I have a different way to describe it, but yeah.
Fair. Fair. All right. Okay. Since we're here to talk about family creation, and that is not a yogurt conversation, can you tell us about the members of your family?
Yeah. Family to me has always been a thing that goes beyond biology. That's the type of family I was raised in.
Mhm.
Um, my parents divorced early, and I grew up in a blended family. And my siblings were like basically we're all the same age. And it's so funny because it's basically the family that I've created, but I didn't
Okay.
intend that at all. So I was married once upon a time, and in that marriage, she had a kiddo, a bonus kid, so I got to be bonus parent to him. He's an adult now, 25. Uh, and then during that marriage, we created our own kiddos, and um, I call it temporary insanity. But that was 10 years ago. My oldest biological baby is 10 and a
Wow.
half almost. And then later on, we created what we thought was just going to be one more, turned into twins. So I have 8-year-old twin girls. And biologically, I also have I'm not sure the term, but I donated the embryos
Hmm.
that I had remaining
Hmm.
uh, from my family process.
Hmm.
And that kiddo was just a couple of months old, 3 months old. And then, of course, with Jenny, uh, her kiddo, I certainly consider one of my kiddos, though we're not biologically related. I've been there before they were even a creation in the world,
Hmm.
and welcome them as just like a third parent.
Yeah.
So, that is the children who call me Dada or some version of that.
Excellent. Wow. That's a that's a whole collection of very unique ways to create a family.
It is. And
And
there's
that's
more coming,
amazing.
hopefully. So,
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, I'm in the process of donating another like 4 pack. I have a lot of
Nice.
embryos, so
You
like,
did. You
yeah,
did. So
yeah.
let's go back to that. So you were in a marriage and right away jumped into a relationship with a child that was already there, which is a story
Mhm.
similar to my own. My I've known my wife since before my stepdaughter was born, but I didn't become a step parent until she was about 4. And you get that gift of being the bonus parent, which is a lot of fun. And then you had created your own family. So, did you use reciprocal IVF with your other spouse, your ex-spouse?
Yes, that's how it worked. I was the egg donor,
Hmm.
and then she carried, and so it was really a really great opportunity for the both of us to feel and be involved
Hmm.
in the creation of our family, in a way that most lesbian couples don't have the opportunity
Hmm.
to. Well, I won't say most, but some, right?
Hmm.
Like it's there's all different combinations, I
Hmm.
guess. But
Yeah.
that was the choice that worked best for us because after her son was born, I became a part of his life at 9. So all the way back then, she had actually had tubal ligation, so she wasn't even really an. I mean, it would have been an option, right? But like
Hmm.
it was the same amount of work, I guess. But oh, again, no, it's not the same amount of work. It would have been double the work because I got to do half of it and then she did the other half, kind of
Right.
thing. That's just kind of how we looked at it and worked it out. It was just a really beautiful gift to like have the opportunity to see what what my genes would create,
Hmm.
and have our family look like that.
Yeah.
And we also went through a process of purchasing our like donor sperm through California Cryobank,
Hmm.
and it was I don't know we must have hit it at like the perfect time. Um, as a so she's also African American,
Hmm.
actually Jamaican. Let's
Okay.
uh, but we were lucky to have found that they had like a solid handful. I think it was like 10
Oh.
donors that kind of fit the scope that we were looking at, which isn't that much. As I've had these conversations with my Caucasian friends, right? Like they're like it was overwhelming the number of options we had. And so in a way, I think it was good that we had enough options, but we found just like the perfect donor. And as I read this guy's profile, I was like, it's like me. This person was like me, only had like slightly different adventures, took slightly different paths, but like it was really it was crazy and interesting.
Mhm.
Um, we had a conversation about like, making sure also that like she was represented and like her
Right.
features were represented. And so again, like um we we went through the different candidates. I think it came down to actually like complexion
Hmm.
and and kind of like the vision that we had around that, but went with the donor that represented her features,
Hmm.
but sort of my personality. So unfortunately, our kids are almost like a double dose of me.
Well, that can't be all bad.
In
They're
some
pretty
ways, it's
cute.
great. In other ways, it's like, whoa. But like certainly there's been a ton of just like personal influence. Like anyway, maybe it was silly for me to say that. But like
No.
I think the way that we created our family was just really thoughtful in combining the things that we felt like were really important
Hmm.
um, in terms of also how this person came to be. So his heritage is Black. So, of unfortunately his, ancestors were probably slaves. My heritage is such that my dad came from Nigeria, um, like emigrated here in like the 70s.
Mm.
And so having that racial element was important to me, to both of us, to like have that because that's my former wife,
Hmm.
um, kind of like her heritage as well. And then the donor also so cool. His mom is native,
Oh,
and
okay.
I just we have this feeling that like out of out of the as we look to build like the future of bring a person into this world as part of our like legacy, our future, it was really important that those two races be,
Mhm.
I don't know, a part of our future,
Yeah.
because I think there's been so much in our world and in our community, in the United States specifically, that has done a lot to marginalize, to eliminate those people.
Yep. I
So
fully agree. I fully
yeah,
agree. So you have that opportunity to represent the both heritages within the genetic pool of your children.
that was a way more eloquent way of saying it. Yeah, that. Yes.
That now you used California Cryobank and you
Yes.
found a donor, which, like you say, it I mean, 10 is great. At least you've got some choice, but it's amazing how narrow all of the choice fields are if you step away from Caucasian.
Yeah.
Even if you want blend,
Yep.
it's the fields are very narrow. So I'm glad you had some choice, albeit very little.
I think it was a benefit because I think we would have gotten paralyzed by all the choice as well.
Fair. Yeah.
Um, and the other thing that's really so fortunate about the donor we chose is that he was open,
Yeah.
which I felt like was going to be really important
Hmm.
as we uh, anticipated that
Yeah.
conversation as the
Yeah.
kids get older, get more curious, to be able to give them the option to meet this person
Yeah.
if they so chose. This felt really good for
Yeah.
us.
And and I can appreciate, although I certainly don't know, but with a family that is as grown and as blended as yours is,
Mhm.
I can appreciate that your children that are biologically connected to you, that you've parented since infancy, since you're
Mhm.
biologically connected to a 3-month old as well. And that one I don't necessarily mean in this particular
Yeah,
reference, but your children would grow up knowing that there is more to learn about themselves. And so they may be more interested in doing that than perhaps a child who was raised by, the same parents all the way along, even donor conceived, knows they're donor conceived, but these are my parents. They've always been my parents, and I don't
Yeah,
need to necessarily deviate off that line.
yeah.
So that's I was my question was going to be before you offered the answer in anticipation. But my question was going to be, was it an open ID donor? Which I love that. Have your children expressed any kind of an interest as yet?
I don't, not really. I think I'm more interested.
Fair.
But I've spoken really openly about it. None of them have been against that or shared that like they are not interested in that.
Mhm.
I imagine that they are, but no, I've not heard them actually express it as a thing that they want to do. Maybe it's because 18 still feels so far away.
Right.
But yeah, I,
You
I,
you
I
know.
feel like probably will.
As you've got one that's already mid-20s, that 18 seems so far away, and yet if you blink too long, you're past it.
I just, I saw them all standing on the stairs the other day, both Jenny and I. And we looked up and we were like, we have four kids. And seeing how much taller they are, and like, even compared to like when we moved into this place, it's incredible how fast it goes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wish it could go faster. And other
Yeah,
times I kind of want to like hit the reverse button. It's such a
exactly.
strange experience being a parent.
Oh, it is, and it is one of the gifts that we get to have, right? So we cherish it, even if
Yeah,
it means that we we struggle with it sometimes. That's just anything good in life you need to work hard at, right?
yeah,
Absolutely. When you and your ex-wife were having your children and creating your embryos, all of that comes with an associated cost. Nothing happens for
yeah.
free. You've got the medications, you've got the retrieval, you've got the fertilization, you've got the sperm, and sperm has gone up in price. I don't know if you know that, but
You
the
don't.
price of sperm now is astronomical compared to what it was before the pandemic.
Wow.
It's just, I mean, it's just amazing to me. But, and then you've got the transfer and everything else. Do you
Mhm.
have a ballpark idea how much you and your wife needed to spend to create your family?
Yeah, and this is 2013 numbers.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it might sound like a bargain, I'm not sure. But it was about 20,000 all in. Um, in terms of the creation, the medication, the fees, and then like I'm still actually paying annually for storage until I can get this final adoption piece done. But yeah, it was significant for
Yeah.
us to invest that much in creating our family. And there's a little bit of envy that the cis het folk can do this
Yep.
for free accidentally,
Yeah. That's
Um
right.
but but it also, I don't know. I don't say this to the kids, but it speaks of the intent, the desire,
100%.
the knowing that
Mhm.
I wanted that we wanted to be parents.
Yeah.
And so much so that like we went through so much extra to bring
Yeah.
them in.
Yeah. No, and that I mean that's the thing. There isn't that we don't have families unintentionally. There is, as you say, there's full intention there. And so I mean,
Determination is
yeah,
really,
well, there is that as well. There is
yeah,
absolutely that. But our children grow up knowing in their hearts that even if we're disagreeing, even if we happen to be at a phase of parenting, because it seems to come in phases where we are clashing for a period of time with our children as they go through a growth spurt emotionally. We also have to go through that growth spurt emotionally. And I think that we don't think about ourselves needing to have growth spurts as well because we've never parented a child, an 8-year old child at 8 until we have a child at 8 and we don't know what that's going to be like. So we have to
yep,
give ourselves grace, but our kids always know at the root of all of it, they were planned, it was executed the way that it needed to be done so that we could have the family that we are. And there's got to be some peace in that, right?
Yeah, you'd think.
Yeah, you hope. You hope.
It's also a challenge to influence young minds and some of the stories that they can hang on to. But
Oh,
yeah, I think, yeah,
yeah,
for me, that statement's accurate.
yeah.
How a kid looks at it, still iffy,
Yeah,
but eventually they'll know.
they will. And and they will. And that's how we drop the nuggets all the way along too, right? About letting them know right from the beginning. It's not like you can pretend they weren't donor conceived. So they always know these little bits and bobs about their
Yeah,
journey, right?
yeah. The way I share about it is that I tell them it took three people. Sometimes it just takes two people to bring a kid into the world, but sometimes it takes three.
Mhm.
That there's three ingredients that you need,
Yeah.
and so yeah, they look at it like it's just normal because that's how we talk about it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if they've shared or talked about it with other families, but there are other families like ours at their school,
Okay.
and so we live in a fairly liberal place,
Nice.
thankfully. And so yeah, they've never thought about themselves any differently, which is great.
That's amazing. Now, can we talk a little bit about the embryos that you're donating? Did you need to
Sure.
get consent from the donor who helped conceive or create these embryos, or is it because
No,
they're your biological embryos, it's yours to decide?
yeah, so basically his consent ended when the sperm was purchased, right? So like whatever was done with that is done. And so no, I didn't have to go back. What
Nice.
I did at that point, at the point when I decided that adopting them out was the decision I wanted to make, um, my former wife and I like were already way split. But because we created them together,
Hmm.
I actually had to get her permission and consent to
Okay.
do the adoption. So although she's not biologically, related to
Mm.
them, it was still because we created them together, a thing that she had to consent to.
Fair. I mean, I say fair. I don't know that I necessarily understand that, but I mean, she's given consent, so I guess that it's moot whether it was fair or not, that she needed
Yeah,
to give consent when she's not biologically connected, but the sperm donor doesn't have to, and they are biologically
yeah. Law
connected.
is weird.
It is weird.
Law, agreement, custody, it's all very strange when you're talking about like tissue
Hmm.
versus like a human being.
Right.
Um, but yeah, when you at least at our fertility clinic, the way that the agreements work is that you both have equal rights to um what we create in this like with this initiative. And
Okay.
so like I think it's great in protecting the non-biological parent in
Right.
those circumstances because like it already feels a little,
Yeah.
distant.
Hmm.
Uh, I understand. I don't have that experience,
Fair.
right? I
Yep.
mean, I guess I kind of have that experience with Jenny's kid, actually. But yeah, I think it's good to just automatically protect both parents,
Mhm.
um, or all three parents, if that's sometimes there's three, four parents coming in
Hmm.
to create a family this way, and so um, yeah, I understood it. It was a little inconvenient
Hmm.
because our relationship isn't always the best.
Right.
But luckily she understood. Like I made an important case, right? Like it was something that had like woken me out of my sleep as a thing that like I just knew I needed to do.
Right.
Um, because the other options are donating to science,
Right.
rinsing them down the drain, right? And it's like, if I have the opportunity to meet more of these people
Sure.
potentially, like, I definitely want to take that opportunity.
Yeah.
So it was just really clear that and not having to pay for storage fees every year.
Well,
Just
there
felt
is
awesome.
that.
Win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on for just a moment. We'll be right back. You know about Baby Ready because you're listening to this podcast, so you know that we are all about queer family planning and helping you have the family of your dreams. But did you know that we don't abandon you once your baby arrives? We actually offer parenting coaching as well, and that's not just for the newborn phase, although we are there for that, but it's through toddlerhood and young children, tweens, and even through the teen years. When you need someone unbiased to lend an ear so that they can hear where your struggles truly are and help you come up with a path and a plan that feels truly right for you and your individual family, don't hesitate to reach out. We are always happy to be there for you. Visit us at www.babyready.info for more information. Now, is it like an adoption for someone who is already expecting a baby and people go through the private adoption route? So
Hmm.
they get a list of people who are looking to adopt their child once the
Yeah.
child's born. Is that a similar type of activity when it comes to looking at embryo adoption?
Well, the way I went about embryo adoption is first hitting the Google and looking for like what are my options?
Right.
And I came across a number of essentially like matchmaking organizations.
Hmm.
They connect people who are looking to grow their family and through embryo adoption because people create families in all different kinds of ways.
Sure.
And so the people who are like looking to do it that way um, are connected through a middle person or a middle entity with people like me who are ready to like free up or like do something with their embryos.
Right.
And so what my experience in this was filling out a bio, basically,
Hmm.
similar to like the adoption process. They do the same. And then they sort of understand what I'm looking for. And so they'll kind of filter through the applicants that kind of fit my preference, and then
Hmm.
I'll review them. Um, and then from there, I've already done one adoption. I split my
Hmm.
embryo bunch in half.
Hmm.
Um, and so, then we just kind of like we did a couple of Zooms to just like get to know each other and um, get to have a conversation about what we hope the future would look like if like what's your desire? What does family look like? How would me sharing how I would prefer to be engaging
Hmm.
with them and the future kiddo, and what it looks like, and seeing if that's a fit. Um, and yeah, that was my experience with this couple,
Hmm.
and my experience since, because I'm still like in the market for a second
Hmm.
couple, like matched with a couple of two different couples, but it kind of fell through.
Hmm.
Uh, besides this other yeah. So
Hmm.
it yeah, it's a little bit like matchmaking.
Hmm.
And in the meantime, sort of the way that this particular group works, and the other reason why I chose them, Embryo Connections is the group I went with.
Hmm.
Um, what I appreciated about them is they didn't seem to be um religiously based, which felt
Right.
so important to me because I just prefer to be in certainly like what's the word I'm looking for? Affirming spaces
Hmm.
and heartfelt work people that do the work, right? But not from a place that like is spurned by religion, especially Christianity. And
Hmm.
so that's why I chose them. But the way that they kind of work out the payment process, is my understanding, is the people that I connect with will help me offset the past year of storage fees. Like
Nice.
it's part of like, and I think they probably pay a bit of a finder fee to Embryo Connection, like it's part of it, because like they got to stay in business.
Sure.
And so, but anyway, it was helpful for me too in that way, so that I get a little bit of something to
Mhm.
like offset the fact that I've been participating in like
Yeah.
maintaining this option, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that
it
makes
was a
sense.
really great experience.
That's so cool. That is
Yep.
so cool. So, do you, so you've had a chance to meet the parents of the 3-month-old and you've
Yeah.
zoomed and you've connected. Are they geographically close to you? Like, can you see
Not at
them?
all.
Oh,
No. I'm in Washington State and they're in the other Washington.
wow.
Really, really quite far away. I happen to love that area. And so it actually felt it was it was like another pro check in box
Yeah.
for me because I just if we get to a place where, I get to visit, I don't
Hmm.
know, life right now is just too much.
Hmm.
But that would be really convenient and cool because I love that area of the world as well. So
That that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Was it a criteria for you that the parents be part of the queer community, or was that even not a consideration necessarily?
I it I didn't start with that as a criteria, but as I started to meet more people, and kind of go on these Zoom dates, it became really clear that that was a thing a criteria I needed to have.
Hmm.
Um, it felt important to have. And so it's been a little limiting in like me getting candidates. And so I did open it up one other time just to like see what's out there, but it just felt so different for
Hmm.
me. And it like no, I'm not trying to slam cis het folk,
Not at all.
but I feel like people in the LGBT community are more self-aware, and have done more work on themselves personally. I'm not saying that cishet people don't and haven't, but I also noticed that it's just more common to see
Hmm.
that happening in the LGBT community. And that, as I've been going through the parenting journey on my own, feels like a really important element to raising a kid. Is like
Hmm.
understanding about you and understanding and knowing how to like regulate your nervous system and understanding how to have hard conversations with kids about like things that are real and happen in our world. That there's more acceptance typically in LGBT household. And when I envision, these kids like being brought into the world through the portal
Yeah.
into a family, right? It's
Yeah.
like that's the kind of family that um just felt good
Yeah.
for me, important for me.
Yeah. And you're right, it's not necessarily a slam against anyone else or any other community, but it is okay to celebrate your own community and
Yeah.
want to put them as a priority in who you choose to help and work alongside.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool. So you're on the path then to find the next great parent.
I am. Yeah, it's been slow. I haven't had like a profile to review in a few months. Um, but yeah, I'm just the right person, the right couple. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a couple.
Yeah.
Um, but they're out there, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll happen soon. And I look forward to that.
Do you think that there may be some hesitation on the part of some individuals? Quite honestly, I mean, we're recording this before 2025, but the episode will air in the new year with season 3. But January 25 also hosts a huge transition in the US. And I wonder if people are cautious, or if you think people may be cautious about how they decide or what they decide about family creation for themselves until they understand what the administration's going to do or say or how they'll behave?
Yeah, I imagine that there's a lot of that. Um, there's a lot of unknown in what's about to happen to this
Hmm.
country.
Hmm.
There's also, you know, anyone who's coming into this space of wanting to become a parent, like this journey, you've been told that it's not an easy road.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and well, at least I hope
Yeah. Yes.
that you've
Fair.
been warned that, like, or recognized in seeing your own parents that, like, it's not the easiest job. It's not a job you can quit. It's not a job you can take days off typically without like
Hmm.
paying, rearranging. Like it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
um but with all these unknowns, with all these stressors, with how challenging sometimes it feels to like be able to keep your head above water, I think there's a excuse me, a lot of contributing factors to people maybe holding off or like wanting to be 1,000% sure that this is the journey that they want to be on,
Yeah.
because it's a significant one. It's a life altering one.
Sure.
And financially for the LGBT community especially, but certainly anybody who's, needing to rely on outside assistance to help create their family, like it's a financial one.
Sure. Sure. And then when you don't know what kind of struggles you may end up having, in
You'll
terms
never
of,
know.
well, no, you don't.
But yeah,
Yes, but I'm thinking even governmentally, like can you adopt your child? I mean, will the option? I mean, I've spoken with many parents since the election who've reached out to me and said, what do I do? Like we haven't done our second parent or our step parent adoption yet, and like
oh
what are we going to be allowed to do? I'm like, I'm in Canada. I don't know what you're going to be allowed to do, but
my
here's some
gosh.
resources, right?
Yeah, it's true. And actually, that it's interesting you say that because I felt this shift years ago.
Right.
I grew up in Wisconsin, which I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Yeah.
It's like what's above that? I'm
What
trying
is
to
it?
think of the
Is it
Canadian province.
Manitoba
Yeah,
or Saskatchewan?
yeah, I want to say Saskatchewan, one of those two, right in
Yeah.
the
Yep.
center. And so uh I could feel the shift happening. And I made the move when we started to like seriously talk about creating a family.
Hmm.
Um, like we knew we couldn't do it in the state of Wisconsin. We knew we
Right.
had to leave and go somewhere blue, is the
Yep.
way we describe it, right? So
Yep.
um California is great, but it's just like a little it just wasn't the place for us.
Right.
The sunshine's great.
Hmm.
Like politically, it's just a little haywire. Like it's too much going on there.
Hmm.
um,
Fair. Yeah.
like so much of like progress is stalled.
Hmm.
And I had done work out here in the Seattle area, and had done some like was stationed in the military out here for like a hot second. And just like I fell in love with this area.
Hmm.
Even as a kid, I was like curious. This was just like I felt a calling to be here. And so yeah, moving here was step one actually of our family creation, because Washington is a very like reasonably like liberal, efficient
Hmm.
government compared to like what else we saw. Um,
Right.
plus it's freaking beautiful. There's mountains, trees, water, just everything you want. City, country, it's
You
just
got it all.
everything. And so that was definitely step one. And you know, even in 2014, they had um parent you fill out the parent for the
Hmm.
birth certificate, not mother, father. They had already all these shifts had happened. And so it felt like a really good and protective place for us to create and raise our family.
Yeah.
Where you live, unfortunately, really does matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because some of this stuff is coming down to the state you live in,
Sure.
what's allowed
Yeah.
or
And you
protected.
can live in a blue bubble within a state, but if you have any issues that come up and the
Yep.
state's overall red, but you just happen to live in a blue bubble, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be protected.
It really doesn't. It
Yeah.
really doesn't. And
Yeah.
so, I'm not going to pretend to know
Mhm.
what the differences are state to state.
No.
But what I do know is that in the state of Wisconsin, if I wanted to be recognized as the parent to my own biological child, but because I didn't birth them, we would have to have both given up our parental rights and adopt our kid.
Wow.
In the state of Washington, that was not a thing we needed to do. We were just the parents of the kid. Done.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's more how it is in Canada. If you say that you're the parent and you are on the birth certificate, then you are the parent and you are on the birth certificate, and that sort of supersedes all the other stuff. But this is the first time I've actually spoken with somebody who's in the US who didn't have to do a second or step parent adoption for the child that they did not birth.
Mhm.
That's, I
Yeah. In the
mean,
state
good.
of,
Let's say
we
it's
gave,
progressive for sure
yeah,
for the whole country.
I just got to have the same experience as a parent as any other person. We went into the hospital, we were given the paperwork, filled it out, and we got a birth certificate with both our names on it. That's how it should be.
It is how
And
it should be.
and I don't know if it's changed in other states. Like I said, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert,
Right.
but when we went through it in 2014 and 2016 with our kids, and then Jenny even with hers in 2017, that was our experience.
Yeah.
Now they did go through a an adoption process, as they dissolved their relationship,
Right.
but we haven't and didn't because
Hmm.
I don't need I don't think it needs to be.
Right. Yeah. That is interesting to learn, though, and it's exciting to think that there is this piece, at least one small piece in a country. And again, I, like you, am not an expert by any means. I'm not even living in the same country. I can only go by the stories that people share with me, and it's heartbreaking to hear the voices when they call and say, what do I do now? Like how do I ensure that I'm recognized as the other parent when I'm not biologically related? And in some cases, if they've done reciprocal IVF, I am biologically related, but I didn't birth the child, so I don't have the same rights.
Yeah,
It's insane.
it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, not sure how that's gonna change, but totally be understandable as somebody who is a little apprehensive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm excited to continue to watch your family's story grow and evolve and change as your existing children get older,
Yeah,
as the 3-month-old becomes more aware of their family creation story as well, and then these other embryos be blossom into a family somewhere else in the world that you just have a little piece of you wandering around, which is kind of
yeah,
very cool.
it's so cool. You always wonder and imagine. Like I felt so blessed to have created 11 embryos as part of our journey.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, like I would have loved to have raised them all, except I don't think I would have loved it. Like three, four is enough. Wow, it's an intense experience.
It
So like,
is. It is.
yeah, I feel when I got the text from them after their kiddo was born, uh the gratitude that they shared with me was um so beautiful, but like also so reciprocal. Like my gratitude for them and
Mm,
giving me this gift, this opportunity to like see and potentially meet another one of my kids that I don't have to raise actually feels like such a blessing to me right now.
absolutely.
Um
Yeah.
and to the kids, because like, as my parents age,
Mhm.
I look at like our team, like we as siblings, we have each other, and like
Yeah.
that's all we actually have through life because we go through the loss of our parents, and so it's like how cool that they like have this extra family that exists. They have like this opportunity to grow relationships with as they get older too.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
What a beautiful opportunity all of you have to just witness how things can be, right? If
Mhm.
we put some of the other crap aside, we can see how beautiful things can be if we just let it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Before I let you get back to your day, or as I should say, get started with your day, since
Yeah.
you are a few hours behind me, I want to just ask you, can you tell me what is your very favorite part of parenting your whole collection of children?
I mean, I would say my favorite part is just like the moments that we share in laughter.
Hmm.
But that was my second answer because actually my first answer was one I had some mixed feelings about because it's my favorite, but it's also part of kind of the hardest. And that is how much better they make me.
Mm.
Like they teach me so much about myself
Hmm.
and help me see how I want to be a better person.
Yeah,
They've I've grown so much as a person because of them.
yeah.
And yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to grow like that. And like be pushed in that way, but like also the way I operate is I elevate to because I just always want to be better. And so
Right.
yeah, they're just these little tiny mirrors that help me be able to see what I'm not seeing and become a better person.
I love that.
I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for them.
Yeah. Now you've got me all teared up because it's so true. It is so true. If we can't let ourselves learn from our children, then we're missing an opportunity, right?
Yeah. You're missing the whole point.
100%. 100%. That's a pretty powerful way for us to say, it's been a great conversation. I'm so grateful that you got yourself up and got yourself on camera to chat with me today.
Yeah.
I, yes, I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. I've never gotten to share this story before. So
Oh, yay. I'm excited to
yeah,
be the first.
the
Yay.
first time that like came out. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
As a queer individual with colonial lineage, I want to first acknowledge the land upon which I live and work. Being from what is now known as Burlington, Ontario, I recognize the original ancestry of these lands as they span from Lake Ontario to the Niagara Escarpment and beyond. These lands are steeped in Indigenous history that benefits my community every day. The territory is mutually covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy, the Ojibwe, and other allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. I would like to acknowledge that the land on which I stand is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. The land dictates everything about our ways of being. Particularly, the land teaches us about fluidity. Concepts of the binary system and heteropatriarchy were imposed by the colonials who were, at the same time, removing children from their homes, families, and all that was familiar to them. These same children were divided by the only two prescribed binaries recognized by the settlers, and they were forced to conform to a performative, gendered falsehood. The land doesn't operate under binary thinking. It is diverse, complex, and unpredictable at times. Rather, the land holds us and all of our remarkable paths and identities. Every organism and spirit has a purpose. It is from this understanding that I strive to live and grow. Thank you for joining me today on the Becoming Baby Ready podcast. If you have a story that you'd like to share, or you know someone who might, If you're a professional who works in the capacity of helping people start and grow their families, and you identify as being a part of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community yourself, then please don't hesitate to reach out. We always have room for more stories to share, and there's always more learning to do.